for a few more attendees to join in. Thank you. We're going to wait one more minute here, and then we'll start very shortly. We appreciate your patience. Thanks. Bye. This is Scott Holzoffel. I'm VP of Enterprise Sales, and I appreciate you joining our session here today on Salesforce and SAP integration. Before we do introductions, I'll just walk through the agenda. What we're going to do is go over the top use cases that we see from Salesforce to SAP integration. So before we get to that, we're going to talk about some of the trends in the industry, what we're seeing, what we're hearing from people like Gartner about integration and where it's headed from a technical standpoint. We'll then talk about a quick case study with YETI Coolers, one of our clients where we spoke with them at Dreamforce, and then we'll get into the 4 use cases. We'll have a little bit of time for a technical deep dive on how our solution is architected, and then we'll have time for Q&A. So toward the end, if you do have any questions, there's an area on the toolbar for GoToMeeting where you can ask questions, and we'll certainly field those. So let's start with introductions on our side. Again, my name is Scott Holzoffel, VP of Enterprise Sales. And prior to enosiX, I worked at Salesforce for 3.5 years, where I was a VP of Sales in the Greater Ohio Valley. And one of the things I came to realize is that SAP and Salesforce clients really struggle integrating the two technologies. It's hard. The existing tool set that's out there, the tools that are available to help that do, they're long projects, they're years long, they cost millions of dollars. And in the end, what we see is a lot of clients either settle for less, maybe just batch night over batch integration, or they don't do anything at all. And they have 2 incredibly different siloed applications that they've invested a bunch of money. So when I learned and discovered the technology that enosiX had developed, I was enthralled and couldn't wait to come over because there's just a huge opportunity for us to help clients really maximize the value they're getting. Alex?
Yes, hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alex Joseph. I'm the VP of Solution Engineering here at enosiX. I joined enosiX from IBM. I was an associate partner there in the SAP practice. And I've been doing SAP-related work for over 16 some years now. I'm born and raised in SAP, as they say. So I've seen firsthand, I've been in a lot of integration projects, and I've seen how hard it is to get to SAP data no matter what the front end is. So I'm glad to be here and looking forward to the webinar.
Okay, thanks, Alex. Let's go to the first slide here. So what we wanted to share just before we get in is just to kind of set your mind. We are a very different approach to integration. We're integration without middleware. And we'll talk later about what we mean. But when we talk to analysts that are out there, and what you'll read in these slides is you'll see that we are, if not ahead of the curve, certainly on the trend line of where the industry and integration is going. So if you look at the first one, the state and the future of data integration, the industry is moving away from this physical bulk batch movement. It's hard to track what the most recent version is. You worry about security and the different areas of keeping the data safe, and so that's a huge concern. Also, what we see is that there's a need to have Salesforce talks all the time about having the citizen developer, and that's the ability to build these apps as a kind of a business user, technically skilled business user. Well, where it's going now, the industry, is they want these citizen integrators. So they want to empower people to do the integration themselves without having to rely on these third-party resources that might know this specific middleware technology. And that fits nicely with what we do because ours is largely managed by your Salesforce developers. If you look at the next one down about the cool vendors, again, it talks more about what the first one is, which is, we're no longer relying on bulk and batch data movement. We're trying to use data at its source, and you'll see that in our demo as well. And then lastly, there's not a one-size-fits-all for integration anymore. There are so many applications that organizations have that if you say, hey, I'm just going to rely on this technology or this company to provide all integration, it's challenging. You're probably not using the purpose-optimized tools. And so what we're going to talk to you today about is we are very specialized in SAP and Salesforce integration. Nobody does it better. We've got a secret sauce that enables us to do this real-time cross-platform transactions from SAP to Salesforce, harnessing the back end. And so that's what we do. That's what we're specialized in. We have several clients where we are augmenting tools that they already have. They may already use certain middleware technologies that just weren't capable of doing what we're doing, yet we're able to quickly come in and implement our technology and then help get that real-time cross-transaction platform. So next slide, please, Alex.
Sorry, I'm having trouble here. There you go.
As I mentioned before, back in October, we presented with YETI Coolers at Dreamforce in the admin zone. And they're one of our clients. They're on S/4HANA on SAP. And they picked us for for many of the reasons that we just mentioned. They did not want to be moving data back and forth from SAP and Salesforce. With their old ERP, they were doing this batch loading. Nobody trusted the data. They didn't know which version was current, and it caused a lot of unproductive behaviors. Outside sales calling inside sales to check SAP, or actually not SAP, but the ERP at the time. And so they ended up going with our version, our Enterprise Edition, and so now they have real-time integration. They've improved the quality of the information. And what they're also doing is increasing productivity and Salesforce utilization, because you trust the tool, you trust the data, you've got everything you need in either Salesforce or Salesforce One. And ultimately, what YETI is doing is they're delivering better customer engagement, because they're able to sit there at their customer and say, hey, I can tell you where the deliveries are, I can tell you what you ordered last time, I can tell you what your quotes were, without having to say, hey, let me get back to you in a day or two when I get back to the office and I can do that research. So that's very powerful. So let's get into the 4 use cases that we have. So the first one, what Alex is going to show you is how do you update and display SAP customer information in Salesforce. And we talk to a lot of clients every week that are struggling with this challenge, where they've got their sales reps that may enter some data in Salesforce, and they've got somebody doing a swivel chair and copying and cutting and pasting that data into SAP. And obviously that's not productive. So the way we go about this, you're going to see we eliminate double entry, we're going to increase and improve your data quality, and then we're going to give you the ability, because the data is more current, to have a better customer engagement. So let me turn it over to Alex, and who can walk you through how this works.
Thank you, Scott. I'm going to move to my browser now, and we're going to be looking at this account in Salesforce. So before I start, really what you need to understand is that this is truly a mashup, meaning the underpinning of our technology is that, or the philosophy that we have is that you want to keep Salesforce data that's relevant to Salesforce in Salesforce. And then you want to keep the SAP data in SAP and have the flexibility to render that information over in Salesforce when you need to in real time. So the possibilities are limitless, and whatever I'm going to show you here is how we designed it. But truly, you can use your imagination and focus on the UI UX and focus on the user experience, getting them to adopt this Salesforce in a better way. And so you can really design these pages the way you want. You could have Salesforce fields right next to SAP fields. There is no mapping of data going on. There is no synchronization of data going on. There is no interface, and therefore there is no monitoring of any interface. We are fetching this data from SAP in real time and rendering that to you over in Salesforce. So that is really where the magic happens. So this is an account over in Salesforce. It's called Burlington Textiles. And just like anything else, we have seen that having the flexibility of having different views of an account over in Salesforce without worrying about what is the impact on SAP is huge, because that's how salespeople think about their accounts. And all of this information that we're seeing here is all related to this account in Salesforce. SAP really doesn't care about this information. The way we link this to the SAP customer is through this SAP customer number field here in Salesforce. And in this scenario that I'm showing you, this customer already exists as a sold to in SAP. But you could also have a different scenario where you have this account and you're nurturing this account and you have opportunities that are related to this account over in Salesforce. And then finally, when that account or the opportunity is going to convert into something real and he's ready to buy, is when you would go over and create that customer over in SAP and create the real sold to, ship to, bill to, payer over in SAP. For this example, we have already created that SAP customer and it's linked to this account here. So when I do the drop down here, you will see that these are the various use cases that we're going to show you today. So I'm going to go into SAP customer. And when I do that, it's launching an unmanaged Visualforce page. So just like I said in the beginning, it doesn't have to be designed this way. You could have these fields show up right next to the Salesforce fields on the same page, and just depending on how you want to visualize that. But this is a completely unmanaged page. So all of these, the field labels that you're seeing here, today they're showing you that the field labels are exactly the same as what they are in SAP. But you could certainly take this and then start modifying the field labels to something that's more, maybe makes more sense to you, makes more sense to your salespeople, while getting the data. So this information here is the data that's coming from SAP in real time. So you can see that all of the relevant SAP information is being rendered over here in Salesforce. The three different views of the customer that we have in SAP, the general view, the sales view, and the financial view, all of that information is being rendered in one page over in Salesforce. Now, one thing to remember here is that all of the security is being driven from SAP. So I don't have to duplicate that security for that user in Salesforce and then over in SAP again. So I don't have to worry about, hey, what if this person's going to see the data that he's not supposed to see, or is viewing a SAP customer that he's not supposed to view. That is completely taken away because now it's being driven from SAP. So I cannot build anything in Salesforce that's either going to break my business logic or my security over in SAP. So when I hit update SAP customer, this is making now a real-time call to SAP. And when it comes back, you will see that I have some fields that have opened up here for me to that I'm able to update. So this is again driven from my SAP security. If I did not have access to do this, I would not be able to do this. When I do a drop down here, it's showing me, and I can come here and I can say, hey, change the shipping conditions so that he receives the product immediately. It's like a rush order. I can come in here and change the payment terms, net due in 30 days, and update the customer. Now, when I'm doing this drop down here, the beauty of this is that it is being rendered in real time from SAP. What that means is that if I make any changes in SAP, that's immediately reflected over in Salesforce. So if I created a new payment term in SAP and I moved that over to production, if I had the security to do that in SAP, I would be able to come in here and change this customer's payment term to that new payment term right away. So I don't have to wait for any data to be synchronized. I don't have to be worried about the field mapping, none of that. It's being rendered in real time. So I can do that and say update SAP customer, and that would update my SAP customer. So that is the first use case that we wanted to show you. And we can flip over back to our chart here, and we'll talk a little bit about the next use case.
So the next two, thanks Alex, we're going to kind of lump them together in one demo because they tie very tightly. So the first part we're going to show is how do you create SAP sales orders from Salesforce. And if you saw from the first screen, if you recall when we were talking about YETI, there was a picture of a Salesforce One mobile app. And that's what YETI is able to do now. They are on Salesforce One, their reps are out in the field, they're able to create an order directly on the go, and they're creating that order in SAP, but they're doing it from Salesforce. So the benefits here are obvious. You're going to be able to leverage the SAP workflow and rules in the background. Productivity is going to go up, improving your sales cycle, and just the convenience of being able to create SAP orders straight from your Salesforce One app, or whether it's from your browser, is going to be really valuable to your reps in the field. Then this ties nicely into use case 3, which is the real-time enforcement of the business process logic and the error handling. So we talk to a lot of clients that they're they're struggling. Where do you create orders? Do you do this in SAP or do you do it in Salesforce? And we've kind of mashed that together. We give you the usability of Salesforce with the nice front end screen and the GUI, but we're leveraging all the back end logic. As Alex was showing you in the demo, if you don't have the authority or security clearance in SAP to do certain things, you can't do those in Salesforce. So we're going to leverage not only the security, but all the business logic that's built in SAP. It's why you bought SAP. We're just front-ending that with Salesforce. So Alex will show you a quick demo on how that all works.
All right, thank you, Scott. So now we are back here, back into the same account. And we're going to create a sales order from Salesforce in SAP. And what I want you to remember is that this order could be a quotation. It could be a return order. It could be a credit memo request. So if you're familiar with SAP, these are just different order types over in SAP. The good news is that even if you're creating a quotation and you have a two-step process where the salesperson goes out and quotes the customer, and then someone comes in and does a pricing approval perhaps, you could still leverage that same standard Salesforce workflow approvals while getting the benefit of creating this quote in SAP, having that document over in SAP with the real pricing information while you're doing the approvals over here in Salesforce, and have that interim step, and the manager approves, maybe does the price overrides, and then you can convert the quote to an order. And you can use those native Salesforce triggers to do that, where the manager goes in there and says, hey, approve, and that automatically triggers the creation of the order over in SAP. The other thing is, as we are creating these quotes in Salesforce, and the numbers are coming from SAP, remember. So all of these amounts can be driven by real pricing information coming in from SAP, right? So my pipeline is not based on some pricing information that is outdated or that I have tried to duplicate over here in Salesforce. It's coming from real-time pricing information in SAP. So I'm going to go here and say create SAP order. And remember, we are showing you both of these use cases in one fell swoop. So I'll point that out here. So here is where I'm rendering the sales order creation process in Salesforce from SAP. And if you're familiar with that process, you'll see that it's very similar. Again, you can design the look and feel of this the way you want it to look and feel, and make it as simple as you want with just 3 fields to enter, or you can make it as complicated as you want, provide drill down capabilities into the pricing procedure, what have you. So it's really up to you as to what data you want to expose, and that's the so we are not doing this one integration at a time. We are not getting together in a conference room and figuring out, all right, what should we show, what should we not show, what fields do I map, how do I get that information from SAP. What we are delivering to you are these business objects that you can start now coding against, and you can pick and choose the information. The Visualforce developer can pick and choose what information they want to show or visualize in Salesforce. And the benefit of doing it that way is that you could start with something very simple, but then someone from the business comes and says, you know what, I'd really like to see pricing information, or I'd really like to see those, the additional data tab 1 and 2, because I have some marketing attributes in there. And within a matter of hours, this developer can now expose that information to you or to the business because it's already there. So it's kind of turning the whole thing, upside down or over on its head, because we are not dealing with each of these integrations one at a time. We are saying, here's the whole library, here is everything that's possible. Now you go ahead and figure out, how you want to visualize that or render that to your user community. So when I do the drop down here, I'm seeing all the SAP order types that I can possibly choose from. Again, feel like I'm beating a dead horse, but this is driven by my security over in SAP. So if I did not have the authorization to create a G2 credit memo request, it would error out right away and say, hey, you're not authorized to do that, just like I would if I were over in SAP. So I'm going to pick a standard order here. And when it does this, it's going over to SAP and is bringing back all that business logic. Right now, it knows, hey, this is my account, this is my linked SAP customer. Because I picked standard order, is going to determine the item category. It knows what sales area I belong to. I don't have to duplicate any of that logic back over in Salesforce because it's all being driven from SAP. That also means that I cannot create logic in Salesforce that's going against or defying something that I've already created over in SAP. I can, be rest assured that all of my business rules are intact. So I'm going to go here and pick a PO date and a requested ship to date as of today's date. I'm going to pick a material. Now, this is a demo environment, and so we only have a limited set of material here. But in reality, in the real world, you obviously have lots of materials to choose from, and we have built, material search capabilities as well. So you would have a material search screen there, and you could do a search by description, wildcards, what have you, by delivering plant, just like you would over in SAP. Similarly, those search screens can be built here. But for purposes of this demo, I'm just going to go ahead, pick this material, and you will see that the plant that was previously blank has now been populated from SAP. So this is huge, right? So I already know that this material is being delivered from this plant. Maybe I care, maybe I don't care. Maybe I want to show the plant, maybe I don't want to show the plant. But needless to say that the plant is determined, and I don't have to worry about somebody over in Salesforce picking a plant that this material doesn't even ship from. So I'm going to do the requested ship to as today's date, and I'm going to say add item, and that's going to add the line item here. And you can see I decided to display all of this information over here in my demo, like the item category, the price, so on and so forth. Again, you can pick and choose how much you want to show. You want to allow them to drill down into the line item and see the pricing procedure, and maybe have have them enter a manual pricing condition. You could do all of that. We just try to keep it simple in this demo, just adding a line item to show you how simple it could be. Now I'm going to go here and say create order, and it should error out because I did not put the PO number. So this is where I'm demonstrating that the error handling, right? So anything that I do that is a required field in SAP, if I did not do that over here, it's going to error out, and I see that error message right away in SAP. The good thing about this is that I can also do some error handling inside of the Visual Force page, in that I can translate this. So a lot of times the error message that SAP throws out is in Japanese, and a lot of people don't understand what it means. So now I can make it more sales friendly, and I can translate that error message that's being driven from SAP and make it more meaningful for my users over in Salesforce. So I'm going to go here and put in the customer PO number, and I'm going to say test, and I'm going to say create order. And then it's going to go back to SAP, and it's going to create this SAP order number for me, and it's going to give me the order number over in in SAP. And I can come in here, I can see, hey, what's the doc flow? If I wanted to come here and see, well, what was the, I can, if I'm coming back a little time, a couple of days later, I want to see, well, was this order shipped? Was it built? And here I can see that this was not shipped or not built. It's just at the order stage. So I'm going to take this sales document number over and flip to SAP. And we are going to go view this order over in SAP just to show you that it was really created in SAP. So I did that. I'm going to hit enter, and you can see here is my order number 147 that I just created in Salesforce. That's now in SAP. I'm going to show you something so I'm also going to show you how this is also bi-directional. It's not just that we are pushing information from Salesforce to SAP. If I came here and I said change, and I did something to this order over here in SAP world, you will see how that information flows back to Salesforce. So I just changed that PO number, and I'm calling it bi-directional now, and I'm going to say save, and it saved that order. And I'm going to go back to Salesforce, and let's go back one screen. And you will see, just like that, the customer PO number has changed, and it's now bi-directional. So what I'm trying to show you here is that this is truly going not only just from Salesforce to SAP, but in real time from SAP to Salesforce without any middleware, no translations, no synchronization, no data mapping, no interface, no monitoring. right? So that's the power of what we're trying to do here. So I'm going to flip back to the presentation that we had, and we can look at the last use case. Over to you, Scott.
Okay, awesome, Alex. That was really cool. And so lastly, what we're going to show is how do you view SAP orders, delivery, billing status, basically all of the things that make you as a sales rep valuable in front of your client. They're going to want to know this stuff. Where are my orders? What's the delivery? And so this improved account visibility, it just gives you an opportunity to be better and more engaged with your client because you got the right data at the right time. And of course, if you are looking this up using two systems, now we're enabling you to just use one. So with the few minutes we have left, let me go back to Alex and let him show you how this looks and works in our system.
Alrighty, so this should not take that long. I just want to show you really quickly the power of what this can do. So I'm going back into my account. And right from here, I can go to SAP orders, and this should bring up all the orders that I've created thus far for this customer. And it also gives me a little search field here where I can put in some date ranges and limit what's coming back to me. Here you can see I can do some sorting. I'm going to sort by value. I can sort by the sold to, order date, what have you, right? And so that's really powerful. And this is being rendered directly from SAP, needless to say. I'm going to drill into this order. So I'm now in this order. I can look at the document flow. I can say, hey, where is this order at? Has it been? So you can see that there were two quotations that we created for this particular account. Then we converted the quote to an order. It's been delivered, but it's not been billed as yet. I can go in here, and if I wanted to, I can drill into the actual delivery. And this is really powerful for the salesperson. All right, I can see, hey, there's no tracking number. So if I had tracking number, if I had proof of delivery, all of that information I can visualize here in Salesforce. So you saw how I drilled down from the account into all the orders that were pertinent for that account. From the sales order, we went and we looked at the document flow. We looked at the delivery. We drilled into the delivery, and you can see that the possibilities are limitless here. I can drill into the item detail, what have you. But I wanted to stop there, and so that we can go back to the presentation and maybe do some Q&A at this point.
Okay, great. So as far as the demos, we've gotten through everything. We've got a couple slides on the technical components and how this works and sort of what the secret sauce is. But if you do have any questions in the meantime, feel free to type those into the bar on your right, and we'll handle those as they come in. Alex, you want to go ahead and just walk them through our reference architecture?
Absolutely. So this what you're seeing here is showing you the complexity of integrating Salesforce with SAP. And this slide is actually coming straight from the Salesforce deck. This is not something that we made up. This is basically saying, hey, look, here is my Salesforce, here's my SAP, here are all the various systems, MDM, ERP, CRM, SEM, and here are the various integration options that you have, right? You have OData connections, you have REST API, SOAP services, what have you, right? So needless to say, you have now a middleware here, and so you have many, many different options. What we are trying to do is we're trying to simplify that. We are saying, hey, look, we are not saying you don't need middleware. But when it comes to SAP to Salesforce, you don't, because we have simplified that. We have created that integration layer at the SAP NetWeaver stack so that you don't need to have any middleware. We are exposing all of this information to Salesforce via a simple web service that could be then routed through a reverse proxy server and firewall with the relevant ports that you want to open for IP addresses that you want to open for Salesforce. And I think this slide talks to that a little better. You can see that this is the over on the right, the box number 9. This is the enosiX base framework, and what that framework is that this is an SAP certified add-on that's installed at your NetWeaver layer. This is what handles all the incoming communication requests coming, the RFC calls from Salesforce. Box number 10 and 11 are the SBO configuration that I was talking, the smart business objects, that integration layer that we have created at the NetWeaver level. It basically encapsulates all those objects, right? So we are basically exposing that as metadata to Salesforce. So your your customers, your sales orders, your deliveries, your invoices, credit history, all of that, all of those BAPIs, routines, tables, fields, we've taken and we've created an object-oriented layer so that now Salesforce can talk to SAP directly at that layer. The advantage of doing it that way is that you're not talking directly to SAP fields and tables, right? You're talking to SAP at the application layer. Then that ensures that you're not breaking any of the application or the business rules that you've created, and giving you the flexibility to create some logic even over here at the SBO level, at the Smart Business Object level. So I can do some configuration here, I can do some filtering, and I can pick and choose what I want to expose to Salesforce. Example of that would be a rollout, right? You only want to roll this integration out to maybe one company code. I could easily create that filter here at this layer. Over on the visual, on the Salesforce side, we have a similar SDK that's a managed package in Salesforce. That's the enosiX framework and base classes that's installed on the Salesforce org. And then you have the SBO classes and external data sources. So these are the Visual Force pages that are unmanaged that you can that come along with the code generator. So all you have to do is you have to pick and choose what objects you would like to talk to over in the SAP world, and you press a button and it's going to create the Apex code that you would require in order to now start talking to that object. So the good news is that you're not creating any of this from scratch. This is already pre-delivered and you can build off from it. So that's at a high level the enterprise architecture. Are there any questions, Scott?
At this time, Alex, I don't see any. We'll pause one more minute here to see if a question comes in, and if not, we can wrap up the webinar. Let's just give it one second here. Okay, at this time, it doesn't appear we have any questions. We do appreciate your time, and thanks for attending. If you do have any follow-up questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us, and we hope to talk with you soon. Thanks, and have a great day and a great weekend.
Thank you.